Hello class, Mr. Guarino here. In this video, I'm going to illustrate how to make your first document in Adobe Animate 2022. So let's start Adobe Animate. So it should start up like this. Probably you won't see anything recent since it's your first time, I think, using Adobe Animate. So you shouldn't have any recent files. And they give you some start a new file fast. We're not going to use that. We're going to click create new, go the long way so that we can see our create new options. So they give us 4 presets. You got some stuff up here, advanced. We're just going to leave it here and go to 1280 by 720. If it's not already selected, you can click on that. And then over here, if this is on ActionScript 3.0, please be sure to switch it to HTML5 Canvas. And you can leave the frame rate at 30 and then say create. So it starts up like this, gives you a blank white document called the stage, or blank area called the stage. You can see that over here. It says stage and it's white. And it's also 1280 by 720. Now, why 1280 by 720? Where does that come from? If you think about high definition, that's not 1080p but 720p. That's where the 720 comes from, and it's an aspect ratio of 16 by 9. You may have heard that for TVs and computer screens as well. So if you were to take 16 and divide it by 9, you get 1.7777, so 1.78 basically. If you take 720 and divide it by 1280, you get the same number. Oops, I did it the other way around. 1280 divided by 720 is 1.77. And also 1920 divided by 1080, so that's a 1080p TV, is the same number. And why do I show you all that? Well, after you've done this, if you say, gee, that's kind of big, I don't want it that big, you could resize it right here. So for this assignment, I want you to resize it, but I want to keep the same aspect ratio. So I'm going to click this lock. So now when I come here and I can drag this, it'll change the height proportionally with the width. If I don't have this locked, then I can drag this and then it doesn't have the same aspect ratio. So I'm going to Control Z to undo that because I do want the same aspect ratio. And you can also click here and type. So let's just make it 1000 and then hit enter, and then it changes the height automatically. And if you remember, when I divide it the opposite way, the 720 divided by 1280, it came out to, if you don't remember, let's see my history, here it is, 5625. And look, 563. So there you go. So that's the same ratio, 0.5625 rounded off to 563. The other thing you can do is you can click where it says stage, the color, and you get your color palette here, or swatches, and let's choose a color other than white, something very obvious so that my eyes can see the difference. So let's pick a nice deep dark blue, pick any color you like. So now we have our first document. We haven't done anything yet, but we colored the stage. Anything off the stage is called the pasteboard. Okay, anything you put on the stage is what appears in your animation when we get to animations or anything that we draw. You don't always put everything you draw on the stage because sometimes you want, like a bird to fly across the screen. Well, maybe it starts off the screen and it flies on and then it flies off. So you can draw things in the pasteboard, but realize they're not on the screen. They're not going to show up in your animation unless they move onto the stage, which right now we've colored blue. And now we're going to save it. So we have to go to File and Save As. But before I do that, we have to make sure that we've properly connected our Google Drive desktop app to the shortcut that I created for you in my Drive. And how do you verify that you have done that already? You click on Windows Explorer, you go to Google Drive. If you don't have a Google Drive link right here, then you haven't done it. If you have done it, then you can click on this, double click my Drive, look for your shortcut, which I named your first name, your student ID, and then the course. CAWDGP, meaning Computer Animation, Web Design, Game Programming, because we're going to use this folder throughout the year. So you double click that, and you can see in a previous video I showed you how to use the the Google Drive desktop app, and that's where some of these things came from. If you don't have all that working, then watch my previous video, how to use the Google Drive desktop app. So if you do have all that working, you can just minimize this, and you go to File, Save As, and because I was here before, it defaulted to this location, but let's say it doesn't. It's somewhere else. I don't know, maybe Documents would probably be the most likely default location for the computer that you're working on. So wherever it is, always click Google Drive, My Drive, find that shortcut, your name, student ID, and our class, double click that, and then click, then you're going to save it, but don't keep it named Untitled 1. Yuck, that's terrible. Let's give it a meaningful name. So create first animate file, and then you click Save. So now if we go back to that folder through Windows Explorer, we should see we have create first animate file. And if I go to my Google Drive through Chrome, making sure I'm picking my fictitious student, and if I go to Google and go to Drive, just to show you again, here's that shortcut, and here you see create first animate file, but you cannot open it from here. You have to open it from here. So if I was to go back here and close this, don't close the whole program, just close the file, because if you're going to do another file, if you close the program, you have to reopen it back up. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but it takes a few seconds, so close just the file. So now I want to open this one. I double click on it, and then there it is. And if you noticed, before there was a little, looked just like this in this folder. It said recover because Animate's pretty good about doing like an auto recovery feature. But once you close this out and it knows it's saved properly, then it disappears that auto recovery thing. It's sort of like a temporary file. Okay, so create your first Animate file, save it, make sure you save it in your proper place, the shortcut in your drive, because then I can check it and give you a grade. Thank you.